Alright, my lovelies, I am back. You're probably wondering why I said we were doing division and then I made us look at a bunch of fractions and equivalencies. So I want to show you how we're going to be able to use the skill of simplifying fractions to make division easier. So to start off, I put a really simple problem. You guys probably know this or know how to solve this in a bunch of different ways, but I want to show you how we can solve this using simplifying fractions. So first things first, go ahead and get this problem written down. 100 divided by 20 equals. Don't write the answer because we're going to write a bunch of other stuff first. All right, my friends, now that you have that written down, I'd like you to write this as a fraction. About 5 seconds to write this as a fraction. All right, your fraction should be 100 over 20. That is the same as 100 divided by 20. Now, I'd like you to work on reducing or simplifying this fraction. Sometimes when we have bigger numbers, we need to do a few steps to reduce. So there's quite a few different ways you could go about this. Remember, when we simplify a fraction, we want to do the same thing to the top, that numerator there, as we do to the denominator in the bottom. So one thing that we could do is we can think about, I can see that I can divide both of these numbers by 10. If we divide 100 by 10, we get 10. If we divide 20 by 10, we get 2. Holy cow, well that is way easier than 100 divided by 20. It's just 10 divided by 2. This is the same as 10 divided by 2. And we can all do that using our multiplication facts. 10 divided by 2 equals 5. Very nice work. Some other ways we could have thought about this is we could have gone from here and we could have started simplifying a little more slowly and said, well, can we divide these both by 2? Absolutely. We could have made 50 over 10, and then we could have divided each of these by 10, which would have given us 50 divided by 10 would be 5, 10 divided by 10 would be 1. We know any fraction over 1, anything where the denominator is 1, is just equal to the numerator. So those are a couple different ways to look at that. And this is one way where once you get into bigger, more uncommon division sentences that you might not know off the top of your head, we can turn this 2-digit divisor here into a 1-digit number. Just like we did here, we turned this into a 1-digit number, and that makes our division much easier. Even if we're dealing with more challenging problems, you could then take that, if this were a challenging problem, and write that very easily as 10 divided by 2, and then do a regular long division without having to worry about some of the additional guess and check that would be added in by having this 2-digit divisor. So this is one really nice, simple way to make those unwieldy, awkward, big problems a little bit smaller. We will probably feel way more comfortable saying 10 divided by 2 than 100 divided by 20 or anything like that. So let's take a look at another problem. I'm going to erase this, make a little more space. Remember, if at any point you have questions about this stuff, shoot me an email, shoot me a text, give me a call. You can even write in the comments on Google Classroom. I'll help you out. And this week, we're also going to start having video chats where you can bring the questions that you have about work to me in a video chat and we'll solve it together. All right, let's take a look at a slightly more challenging problem. 128 divided by 16. So this is one of those problems where if we were to write it out in a long division, 128 divided by 16, we would have to use guess and check to figure out how many times does 16 go into 128, because it can't go into 1, it can't go into 12, it would have to figure out how many times it goes into 128 using guess and check or estimation. So that problem would not be very fun for probably a lot of people to just try to solve using long division. So let's take our first step. We're going to write this division sentence as a fraction. Go ahead and do so now. All right, you should have something like 128 over 16. Very nice, very nice. So one way to go ahead and simplify this is we can just start by recognizing that these are both even numbers. We can divide both of these by 2. That's a pretty easy way to do this. We know that 16 divided by 2 is 8. You might need to do a little bit of math to figure out what 128 divided by 2 is, but that's okay. You could even do it onto the side if you wanted. 2 can't go into 1, but it can go into 12. Drop down that 8. 2 goes into 8 4 times. 64. You may have also been able to find that out with mental math. Either way. 64 over 8. Now, right away, you might be thinking, oh, well, 64 divided by 8, that sounds a lot like one of our basic multiplication and division facts. You may be able to simplify this right now. If you're not sure off the top of your head, that's okay though. Let's see what happens when we simplify this a little further. These are both still even numbers. I can go straight down. 8 divided by 2 is going to be 4. 64 divided by 2, well, half of 4 is half of 6. 32 over 4. Now, at this point, you could write your division sentence. 32 divided by 4, or you can keep simplifying. We can still divide both of these by 2. We would make that, and 32, half of 32 is going to be 16. This is another one you could say, I already know what 16 divided by 2 is, but if you don't, that's okay. We can solve right here. This becomes 8 over 1. We know any fraction where the denominator is 1 is just equal to the numerator. So this is one of those ways where we can simplify down. Sometimes we'll be able to simplify all the way to our answer. Sometimes you'll get stuck somewhere where you'll be over a 3 or a prime number that's not going to keep dividing well, and then you just turn it into a regular division problem. But either way, what this does is dividing something by 4 is a lot easier than dividing something by 16 because 4 is a 1-digit divisor and 16 is a 2-digit divisor. So this automatically makes our division so much easier. Sometimes you might only be able to simplify down a little bit, but anytime you can get your denominator to a 1-digit number, your division is going to become so much easier. So always keep that strategy in your back pocket and know that this is going to end up with the exact same answer because all of these fractions are equivalent. They are the same as the one before it. We can also still check our work. This is the quotient. We can multiply that by the divisor here. If we want to check that, 16 multiplied by 8. 8 times 6 is 48. Carry that 4. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 4 is 12. We can check right away. Our dividend is equal to this product when we checked our work, so we know that we are spot on. We did some excellent work, and we were able to do it using a strategy that is requires a lot less guess and check than long division with 2-digit divisors. So this is one of the strategies we're going to be practicing today. You can always check your work with long division. You can check your work with estimation and multiplying. So keep those strategies in mind, and let's give this a go.